Hi, welcome back. So I'm going to be going over how to use Explain Everything again. In the previous video, I just did an intro to Explain Everything. I kind of did a quick overview of all the different buttons and features. For this time, I am going to actually specifically go over not just the features, but if you want to actually create a slide presentation and the different features you can use if you were creating one from scratch, not importing a file. And I'll do another video where I import either a PDF or a PowerPoint and show you how to annotate on there. So first thing you need to do is, again, this is my iPad screen here. You're going to go to the Explain Everything app and you're going to open up that app. And previously, like I said, it's actually called Explain Everything. There is now an expanded Explain Everything Classic. There's now an expanded everything that if you go to their website, you'll see you can actually get like licenses and you can get like subscriptions for way more features. I just use the Classic. I just use the app itself. I don't have any sort of subscription to their website or anything like that. So I couldn't really give you any information on it. But if you watch the previous video, there is a link in the description that'll take you to the different packages offered by Explain Everything. But this app itself, I believe, is $5.99 and is available for iPad and Android. So here we are at the home screen. We have no files here. So we're going to go up here to the add, and we're just going to add in our own template. So again, it's your own personal preference as to which template you would like to use. The three colors that you see here in the middle, these will actually, you can make those any color you want. The background, I think it's more set to these three options really. So again, I like to use the black background, so that's what I'm going to use. So here, I've already gone over everything on the left-hand side. First thing I like to do is I like to change the colors to the ones that I would prefer to use. So I'm going to come down here. Oh, if this is going to work, please work. There it is. Okay. So also, quick side note, I like to use a stylus. So this is just a old school stylus. This is from, I think it's Adonit. I got it from Target, or sorry, Jot Pro. I got it from Target. I think it was like 30 bucks. But I really like this type of stylus. So, but again, that's just my own personal preference. You can just use your finger if you have a touchpad. Okay, so let's do colors. I like to do kind of a hot pink color and kind of like the turquoise green. You'll probably hear me complain about this because I did drop my stylus and broke it. So I kind of put it back together Jimmy Rig style and it kind of works, but not as well. All right, so now we have our colors selected. So you could just start to create a video where you're just writing on the screen. So you could, I teach chemistry, and so one thing that we learn early on is prefixes, so converting from, say, like milligrams to grams. So I might do something like this where you have, you know, metric prefixes, and that could be the title of it. I could add in a lovely shape here. So let's say I want to add a star. Now, what you will hopefully notice down here on the left-hand side is now the colors have like these borders around them. And that's because whenever you use a shape, it has a border to it. So the fill would be white and the border would be white here. But if I went down here to the pink, it would be a pink fill and then a like light red border for the star. So what you might want to do, so let's select a color. I'm going to go back down here. I'm going to select the pink one. So let's change that to where the fill, and hopefully you can see right here, you have fill and you have outline. The fill is going to be, let's make it yellow. And then let's say we want to change the outline. So I'm going to click on outline and I'm going to change it to black. All right. And so now what you've noticed is that this box now has a black border and a yellow inside. Actually, let's make it white so that we can actually see it on the screen. All right. So you have a white border and a yellow fill. So then you're going to come back up here to your shapes. You're going to select the shape that you want. Again, I want the star. And then you just boop, plop it on there. There's your star. So now that you have your star, you're going to make sure that you have your finger, the pointer finger selected, and you can resize it. You can move it around. So just using your finger. So I'm just moving my star here. Let's say I want to put it up by prefixes, and then you just use two fingers to expand it out. All right. And there you go. If you're recording, it will record the movement and all that stuff. You can stop and go if you don't want all that movement shown. So that's how you can put in a shape. next, let's say you want to add in different prefixes. So I'm going to make something up. I'm going to use this color now. So for every 1 gram, I have 1,000 milligrams. For every 1 kilogram, I have 1,000 grams. That's good. We'll just say those. All right. So there's some information I wrote down. So now let's say you want to actually write a practice problem or something like that. You can actually move the words around. So what I'm doing here is I went back to my pointer finger. So you go back up here to this little pointer finger here, and it allows you to actually move this writing around. So if you look at the writing part, you have this auto group section here. That auto group grouped this writing together. That's how I'm able to move the entire thing. If you don't want it auto grouped, you can turn that off and then everything's individual. I like having like snippets of words auto grouped. So that's why I like to keep mine on. So this is, oops, let's undo that. Let's go back to the finger. So this is so I can move this around. Now, the nice thing is I can move it over here. I can move it over there. I can move it anywhere. You can also expand and shrink it down. So I can expand it out. Whoa, 1 gram per 1,000 equals 1,000 milligrams. Or you can shrink it down. And so the way I like to use it is I write stuff out. Before I make the videos, what I actually do is I like, especially because like I said, I teach chemistry. When I do like the calculation part, I will go in and I will write everything out first and I will shrink it all down and move it out of the way. So then when I'm making my video, when I get to that slide, I go, okay, part 1 to this problem, and I bring it down and I expand it out. It's already there. I'm not wasting time writing it. I did notice in my earlier videos when I first started doing this, that if I recorded myself writing everything down, the videos were way longer than they needed to be. My goal, I shouldn't say your goal, but my goal is to keep it at about 15 minutes. I have gone over, but I don't go over 20 minutes if I can at all. Possibly make it, if I can keep it under 20 minutes, I apologize. If I can keep it under 20 minutes for my students, that's what I try to do. I like to try to keep it under 15 minutes if possible, because studies have shown that after 20 minutes, they just kind of check out. So the nice thing about videos is if they feel themselves checking out, they can pause it and go back and watch it once they've refocused. But I just like to try and keep it short. And I noticed that when I was writing everything out while recording, it took way longer than it needed to. And I realized that it would just be a lot more time efficient if I went in, wrote out everything I wanted, and then this beautiful feature on Explain Everything is if, like, say you have a multiple step problem, you can just shrink it down and move those steps out of the way, and then when it comes to that slide, you can just pull each, like part 1, you're gonna look at these, all right? So here's my conversion factor. So now I'm gonna shrink these down so they're out of the way. Let's convert 25 grams to milligrams. So I have 25 grams, set it up. For every 1 gram, you have 1,000 milligrams. So what I would do is I would have all of this written out before I started the slide. So before I started working. So once I had it all written out, I would shrink it down, move it out of the way. Then when I started recording, I'd be like, okay, we're gonna talk about metric prefixes today. A couple metric prefixes you need to know is that for every 1 gram, you have 1,000 milligrams, so on and so forth. And then I would kind of shrink this down and be like, okay, so now we're gonna practice it. If we had 25 grams, we wanted to convert it to milligrams, this is how we would set it up. And then I would explain it, and then you would solve it. I really, really love the feature of being able to shrink stuff down and move it out of the way. I am currently using PowerPoint as well for my AP chemistry class, and I like it, but I do miss this feature. I really, really like having this. It's nice to be able to write out what you want, shrink it down, move it out of the way, bring it back. Excuse me. I love it. I think that's a really, really great feature. It's actually a key feature for me. So that's just one way that you can use the writing tool in Explain Everything. Also, we did a very quick overview of adding in shapes. Again, to add in shapes, you can add in anything. You can add shadows to the shapes. Again, the key thing is to remember that if you do that, the colors down here at the bottom, those are what your shape's going to take on. All right. And remember, they do have a border to them. So if you want the border to be different than the fill color, you need to make sure you go in and you fix that. Otherwise, you might get some funny fill colors in there. All right. So, whoop, there's another one. You can move them around. So like if say you wanted to like, you had some stuff written out, you can just use the arrow, be like, boom, 25 grams, boom, conversion factors. Like you could sit there and use this however you want. And then when you're done with it, you could just erase them. All right. So again, you could use this however you want in your classroom for what works for you. Obviously, I'm using math examples and science examples, but you don't have to do that. Obviously, you can use this in an English class, a history class, social studies class, whatever class you teach. If you're trying to flip your classroom, there's so many options here. It's not tailored to just one area. It's really kind of universal for all. So that's how you could use the writing tool and explain everything. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I will gladly answer those. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. All right, thanks so much. Bye.